Welcome to How to Convert Your Nonprofit Website Visitors into Donors. Again, I appreciate you being here. This is what we're going to cover today. There are so many actions that you might want a website visitor to take, such as signing up for your to be a volunteer, subscribing to your email list. But today we're going to focus on the journey from being a website visitor to becoming an online donor and how to encourage that action. We'll leave some time at the end for Q&A, and I'll also have a couple of handouts for everybody. Bear with me just one more moment here. I'm going to turn my camera off so you guys can focus on that. So let me start by just introducing myself. I am Ronald Pruitt. I'm the president and founder of For a Good Cause. I've been helping nonprofits raise money online for over 24 years now. I have extensive experience in building websites for nonprofits. And really, each of those websites always had a primary purpose of driving online donations. I live in Kennesaw, Georgia with my wonderful wife, my lovely mother-in-law, and our two awesome teenage kids. If you've been with me before, probably I've seen my wife online in the chat. I don't think she'll be here today, but she's normally in there. My company, For a Good Cause, is an easy-to-use, effective, and affordable online fundraising platform for small to mid-sized nonprofits. Nonprofits that use For a Good Cause have donation sizes double national averages and can typically pay back their investment in our software with only one donation each month. You can check us out at foragoodcause.com. I hope that you will do so. I'm going to drop a link to that now. Perfect. So let's start with the definition. When I refer to a website conversion, that means that someone visits your website and takes some action while they are there. This conversion is the user giving you their information in some way. For example, subscribing to your email list, inquiring about your programs, or we're going to talk about today, making an online donation. That's going to be our focus, is how to drive them into making a gift. So before you know how to improve, it can be useful to understand what is typical. So what do you think the average conversion rate is on a nonprofit website? That means on average, how many visitors out of 100 will take any type of action on your website? I'm going to drop a poll on the right. I want your opinion here. Let me know what you think. Give you a couple of moments to answer that, and then I'll reveal what some recent studies show. I've got about 62% answered. Keep that going there. Most people are saying around 5%. Looks like 25% and 1% are in second place here. Let's reveal the answer. The average nonprofit website has a 1% or less conversion rate. I found a couple of studies on this topic, one from the M&R benchmarks. They come out with a big study of some really large nonprofits each year, and then a group called Next After, which does a lot of studies on nonprofits. So M&R benchmarks came out to 1%. The Next After came out to 0.61%. So you're looking at over 99% of donors, or people that visit your site are going to walk away without donating or without taking any action. Just noticing in the chat here, Marty says she doesn't hear anything. Is that also the case for everybody else? Can everybody else still hear me? No. Some yes, some no. Okay. Let me type in the chat here. If you can't hear, please rejoin the session. That can typically help. Okay. Thanks, everybody. So These low rates present an opportunity for a nonprofit. By increasing a conversion rate from 1% to, let's say, 1.5 or 2%, you'd be getting a 50 to 100% more donors without adding any marketing budget. Focusing on your conversion rate is one of the few things you can do that can truly multiply your results. Let's look at whether your website is currently hurting or helping your fundraising efforts. Does your website have the basic characteristics of what makes for a good website? The better you match the list of things that you see here on screen, the better chance you have to convert a visitor to a donor. You need a fast website, one that loads quickly. We see about 55% of the traffic to our platform is on a mobile device, so your site better work well on a phone or a tablet. Donors want to know that your website is secure before they interact with you. Simplicity in design and content helps visitors find and read information that will convince them to donate. Does the visitor know exactly where they are at all times and how to get to all the other sections of your site from wherever they are? Simple navigation helps with that. When was the last time your site was updated with new content? Fresh content that includes high quality images and videos. That helps to connect you with your audience. How well do you think your nonprofit is doing with its website? Give yourself a letter grade. I want you to put that in the chat. I would deduct 1 letter grade for every missing item on this list. Anybody want to offer up how they're doing? Are you brave enough to do it? No one so far. Oh, okay. Robert says W. Okay, Robert, that's rough. That's rough. Some C's, some D's. Okay, B plus. I like that. Everything that's on this list really is the basics, the minimum to give your website visitors a great experience. We certainly could spend an hour on any one of these, but to understand how to earn online donations, my primary focus is going to talk to you about what content drives donors to give. So, to earn an online donation, your website must answer 4 big questions. The first step is why give? Especially right now when I'm sitting on your website, why should I take action right then and there to make a donation? Second, why give to your nonprofit specifically? Third, what will the impact of my gift be? And finally, once I've made a decision to give, the website must answer what I'm supposed to do next. How do I give? So we're going to kind of look at each of these 4 in detail. We're going to walk through some example sites of websites that are answering these questions well. If you can get better at answering these questions, you're going to start to raise more money through online giving. So first up, why give now? Before a website visitor decides to click donate and make a donation to you, they're going to want to understand why they should give. They need to be shown that there's actually a need for the donation. You can do this by dedicating a portion of your site to education that relates to your mission. Define an urgent problem that must be addressed, a problem that you need help with. Help the visitor understand what the issue is that your nonprofit works on and that there's urgency to it. The urgency is what's going to make me want to give now, before I leave the website. This is a really good practice just in general to get traffic to your site as well, because defining the problem, defining the issue on your website, it also helps for you to be found by potential donors, because they're going to be putting in the phrases and keywords that you're using in this section of your site into Google to look for information and answers on this topic. They then click to find you. You become the authority on this issue. And if visitors believe that you are the authority, then they are going to be more likely to trust that your solution will work to tackle that problem. And they'll be more likely to support that work with a donation. So let's jump into some examples of nonprofit sites that are showing why gifts are needed. Let's jump over to this tab. Here we go. Let's start with the Chattahoochee Riverkeeper. This is a charity here in Georgia that protects the Chattahoochee River, which is right in my backyard. They have a simple section of their website called Our River. It's a dedicated section of their page here, which delivers basic facts about the river. It helps you see where the river is in your backyard, and it shows the threats and challenges to keeping it clean. They also have a complete resource library with a blog where they are posting fresh content on issues that pertains to their mission. They also have other materials in the resource library from publications, case studies, videos, all types of things that demonstrate the need to keep the river clean, and talks about why they're doing the work that they're doing. Blog posts are a great storytelling and education tool that you can continue to load with fresh content to pull people into your site to help educate them. Let's look at another example here. A group called Anti-Slavery. It's a charity in the UK. They have multiple pages under this little heading, Slavery Today, that educate you on why slavery is a modern problem. And they go, it's, nothing that I'm going to show you has to be complex. They just have pages that go into a little bit of detail about the problem. What is modern slavery? What is human trafficking? Very simple and straightforward, but they're going into all the details and educating you all about why this is a problem that needs to be solved. Another example is the Snow Leopard Trust. They have a section of their site, or page on their site, called The Threats. I love what they do with visuals and simple statements to educate you on the plight of this endangered animal, whether that be from poaching or habitat loss, mining, all the various things here that are going on with their mission. They're letting you know why this is important and that it's urgent. Post in the chat, what issue is your nonprofit working on, and how could you name a section of the site that you would want to educate a visitor on your mission? How could you name that section of the site? While I'm looking over there, I see there's a question from Amy. Aren't we doing a disservice to always and only promoting urgent needs at the time? This doesn't value ongoing and good quality services. When I use the word urgent, I don't mean, hey, there's a hurricane and we need to send relief supplies. Or I don't mean that, hey, we're out of money and we need money to fund this one particular program that has an urgent need. What I'm really referring to is that you're really emphasizing how important your mission is, and that you need support today, not in the future, that you need support today. Some of these organizations are pivoting from what they're doing to taking action and the impact, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but it's really about communicating the importance. Communicating the importance of your mission. It doesn't mean that something's urgent as far as how you view it. You need to make the reader understand that it's urgent. You want them to give before they leave the site. And we're going to talk about how we're going to kind of push them into that. Again, put in the chat what you're working on. Exchange, what's your issue? I see some hospice care, great, grief support. When you're thinking about education, sometimes people are putting this in sections like this where they're actually defining the problem, whether it's something like homelessness. I see children's literacy there from Cassandra. You could have a section that talks about literacy and why that's important. What's happening in your community. I see Connie saying preventing child abuse. Yes, safe water. All these are all great missions. Think about how you can organize something really simple in part of your site that's going to talk about that in clear terms, with no jargon, that helps people understand why that's a problem. Okay. Next up. The next question we want to look at is why, let's see, why give to you? There are many charities a donor can support. Your website needs to establish why you. To do that, you are going to establish that you are a legit and trustworthy organization doing the right work to solve the issue. First, you need to build trust through your About Us section of your website. Many times potential donors are using your website to get a sense of the organization's personality and credibility. So don't be afraid to highlight those on your team. Donors want to know the real people doing the work. That means real pictures of leadership, staff, and board members. Gather stories about why those in your organization enjoy doing the work that they do. Provide testimonials of partners, sponsors, donors, and other resources in your network. These testimonials are social proof. If others in the community think you are awesome, the website visitor will too. The second part of this is showing that you're doing the work to solve the issue. What programs do you have in place to combat your issue? Give specific details so that your donors get a true sense of who you are and what you do. A lot of nonprofits will simply post a mission statement. I see so many sites that's all they've got on there. They might say, we provide educational opportunities for underserved communities, which is a great vision statement or mission statement, but how exactly do you do that? I want you to use your website to spotlight the work you do, and I want you to spotlight what makes that work unique. And I want you to go into as much detail as you're able to do that. So let's look at some examples of nonprofits that are answering this question, that are establishing trust with their visitors. Let's first look at Root and Rebound. This is a nonprofit that does work to help those re-entering society after prison. So you'll notice on their navigation, they have a dedicated About Us section. Every nonprofit needs a dedicated About Us section, no doubt about that. There you can meet the team. I love the welcome here at the top of this. They are introducing their team as advocates and activists. I like this. Then each team member has a great photo, which all this links into individual profiles for each team member. with a write-up about them. And what I love most of all is a testimonial. Why do they come to work every day at Root and Rebound? Each staff member shares their email, so you can contact them directly. This is super transparent and gives you a sense of the dedication and the expertise of the staff here at Root and Rebound, or the board members. You might also list high-profile volunteers and all types of things here. These profiles make me trust this organization, make me want to be part of this team, make me want to become an advocate myself. Let's go back over to the Snow Leopard Trust. Another thing that I love in an About Us section is a founder story, or something about the history of the organization, so that I can understand that, boy, you've been doing this work, you understand all about it, and you are dedicated to your mission in a way that's unique to you. So on this site, they are spotlighting the founder, Helen Freeman, her work in starting this nonprofit. It's a great story that they're telling. I want you to always be storytelling on your website. You do have great stories to tell. The more you tell them, the more donors are going to appreciate them and want to join in on your story. This page also has a testimonial. I want you to sprinkle quotes all over your website from supporters, program participants, anybody who's talking about how wonderful you are. This is, again, all social proof that makes me want to get involved as well. Wants to join in with Dr. Deborah here to be another supporter of this organization. So post in the chat for me, does your organization have a detailed profile of you listed on your website with your photo, little bio of you, and a way to contact you? All right, I see some yes. I see a yes. Uh-oh, some no's. Little mix here. Yep, name and contact, Connie. That is one of the things that I see so often. And you're just a name. You're not a person. When I can see a real person and I know a little bit about them and I know that I could call them and ask them questions about this nonprofit, it just gives me a sense that this is somebody that I could work with, that I can support, and that they know what they're doing. The second part of establishing trust is showing the work that you're doing. Keep your site simple. Create some sort of, like maybe here on like the Snow Leopard Trust, a section called Our Work, or like on anti-slavery, you create a section called What We Do. Be really simple in your language like that. So like on anti-slavery here, they have a really simple section that talks about how they're working to end slavery. What are they actually doing to solve the problem that they've just defined? You define the problem, and then you define what you're doing to solve it. So they're talking about their work in different places of the world here. Their work overall. This is just simple. You don't have to be complicated. You are just telling the story of what you're doing, who we work with, how we're doing it. You can notice here on this section, they are using images and videos to tell the story of the work that they're doing. There are no fancy program names or internal jargon here. They're just demonstrating visually, with images and such to tell the story of what they're doing. Really simple and straightforward. Same thing with some of the other, like the Riverkeeper. They've outlined the various programs that they have here, and then they're going to move you into actually taking a look and reading about it, and maybe seeing a video, image, or something of that nature. You don't have to get really complex. It's just all about communicating what you do, and hopefully you're communicating the unique nature of what you're doing. You're doing it this way because you are having success because of the way that you do it. Bottom line, demonstrate that there are real, capable people working at your nonprofit, working in unique ways to solve your issue. The next question you got to answer is, what will be the impact of my gift? Now, you're showing them that you're doing the work, but is your work making a difference? Before a donor gives, they want to know exactly how their dollars will be used. This is where you showcase your impact. Think about stories of those that are affected by what your organization is doing. Numbers are great, but showcasing your organization in a way that comes from those impacted is an even stronger way to connect with your website visitor. And then try to match up donations of certain sizes to the impact that that gift will make. Again, let's look at some examples. Let's start with this group, Grid Alternatives. This is a nonprofit that is working to move communities to solar energy. In their kind of under what we do, they have a page called Our Impact. I would actually argue you'd want a whole section of the site that's Our Impact. I'd bring that up a level to really emphasize the impact that you're making. And on this page, they have kind of facts and figures, things like the number of households they're serving, the energy that they're saving, the number of people that are getting trained by their organization. This is all well and good. This is kind of a good place to start, but I want you to do a little bit more than that. I want you to humanize your impact. They do a little bit of that here, where they transition from facts and figures into, the impact that they're making on people, planet, and employment, but they don't have a ton of content here. They have, one kind of impact story. I would want you to do a little bit more than that. I want you to dive into storytelling. A good example of that is Donate Life New York. This is a nonprofit that is seeking to increase organ donations. So they humanize the impact of their work by sharing stories of those affected by organ transplants, such as Lucy here. They have a dedicated section of the site just for these impact stories, and then they're giving you, visual and, a post here about what an organ transplant meant, or what giving one meant to Lucy here. Anti-slavery, if we look back at them, they have what they call stories of freedom. Ton of those here from different regions that they work with, and you can drill into someone that has broken the bonds of slavery. Imagine, reading about someone who has broken free from slavery. That truly demonstrates the impact of this nonprofit. Because people give to people, places, and things. They don't give to numbers. They don't give to how many households have we served, how many homeless did we get off the street. They're going to give to support more people like this person. If this person was helped, I can help another person just like this. One other thing that I love that anti-slavery does is they will actually publish every year. They do an impact report in video, and then they kind of just bullet list. What did we do? What did we do this year? How did we have success? And that leads into other articles and things that they're doing on their site. Post in the chat for me. Does your organization publish any type of impact report? To me, this is separate from or in addition to just an annual report where you talk about the money that you spent and that type of stuff. You really want to focus on what success did you have? Do you publish anything like that? I'm getting a few yeses. That's wonderful. Patrick, good. I love that you're going to be starting soon. To help a website visitor understand how much to give or how big an impact they can be, I want you to show them, a simple page like this one from the Humane Society in Memphis, where you are showing them levels of donations and the impact that each level can have, such as $25 funds intake vaccinations. $250 provides food for 10 medium dogs for 1 month. You get a sense of the exact impact that I'm going to make with a particular donation. I love this type of content because the donor's wondering how can they make a difference. And you're very explicitly telling them that. The Humane Society also has, I think they have, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, they actually talk about their costs a little bit. They spend $8,500 on utilities every month, just to kind of reemphasize that when you're on pages that talk about help. So I can get a sense of funding and things that are needed and that type of thing. So you're always, your main focus is really pushing your mission, but I have no problem with talking about the needs that you have and kind of directly tying that to a donation. Another example of that is, where am I? Here, the Harmony program. They do music education, and on their Support Us page, where they're telling you what you would be supporting, they are telling you that you make it possible. With a certain level of donation, you make it possible. $100 pays for a new flute or clarinet. $2,500 provides instruments and supplies for a whole brass or woodwinds program. Again, giving you a sense of what you can do with your donation. So the bottom line here for this question, you are helping your website visitors understand the impact that they can make with a gift. You're also telling them that you are having success. So they should trust you with their money. They should see, hey, this is an organization that can make things happen. It's making a difference. And if I give to them, I'm going to make a difference too. Okay? Next. Oops, let me go back. Went too far. Next is, how do I give? Okay. So you've convinced the website visitor that they are worthy of your donation. Yeah. Now they are ready to give. So the website must respond by showing that person how to give. It must be completely obvious where to click to donate from wherever they are on the site. Your website should list out all the ways to give, including offline methods as an alternative to giving online. And if you have special giving programs like monthly giving, planned giving, tribute giving, anything like that, your website should spotlight those as well. You're going to outline all the options for making a gift. Okay? Let's take a look at some examples here. We're going to start, we're going to start by going back and looking at the Memphis Humane Society. We're going to start by having a clear, can't miss donate button near the top of your navigation. Just like you see here, this big red button that says donate now. It should be available and easily seen on every page of your site. Okay, another example would be from, let's see. Oh, the one I wanted to show was Katarina's Club. Let me pull them up. Hey, there they are. So from every page of their site, you see their big, bold, donate now button. Katrina's Club is a group in California that provides warm meals and affordable housing. This button is just bold and bright and always there, and you can always see it. I like that they're using action verbiage. Your button should not say giving or donations, any kind of noun. You want it to be an action verb like donate now. In addition, you need to block out a section of your site that encourages donors to get involved or support us. So let's take a look at, let's go back to the Harmony program. So they've dedicated a section called Support Us. Okay, love that. If we look at another example, Angel Flight, under their section, which they've labeled Get Involved, they have a page called How to Give. I love how explicit that is. If we scroll down this page, we will see that it outlines all the options for giving while making giving online the most prominent. You want the donor to give now while on the site, so don't hide the online option, and definitely make it the most prominent. You know, don't add anything else that you see here, you know, kind of up at the same level. So you see they've made this a little bigger. They've provided the button. It is an action button. It says donate today. That's going to take you to their donation page. Simple and straightforward. And you notice they do have offline, hey, if you want to send a check, here's the address, and they've got lots of other different options in here, from legacy giving to donating stock. You even could print this if you wanted to just mail something in right there. Very simple and straightforward. Always have a ways to give page on your site. I also want you to make sure that you are sprinkling in donate buttons in places where you can easily pivot to a donation ask. So let's look at a group called Curing Kids Cancer. They are raising money for research to cure childhood cancer, and they're kind of showing their impact, you know, by discussing, you know, real stories of kids and families that were affected by cancer, like Claire here. So you might read Claire's story, and then right below that, we pivot to, are you ready to make an impact? Join us in the search for cures, and that's the donate button right there. This is also something that's very prevalent on the anti-slavery site that I've been showing you. So if I'm on really any of their pages, you know, maybe it's talking about the work that they're doing, you'll notice on the sidebar, we have the ability to donate. So I'm reading about this. Wow, this is a big important problem. I can pivot right to clicking donate now, because that's right where I am and right where I'm reading. Okay. If you have special campaigns for monthly giving, tribute giving, and such, you want to highlight those. Here's an example. The Interfaith Food Shuttle in Raleigh, they have a really big monthly giving program called Cultivators, and they have a page specifically that's targeting that. If we look at Foothills Animal Shelter, they have lots of dedicated pages that kind of push you into different types of giving here. One I would spotlight, tribute and memorial giving. So they know this is something that kind of speaks to their mission. They know that it's something that they can get donations from. You know, you've lost that loved one, that pet, and they want to give donors an opportunity to honor that pet, memorialize that pet, and at the same time making a donation. And they've got a really great page that spotlights that and will link you directly into making that type of donation. So wherever they are on your site, whether they're coming from your home page, which you might have a spotlight, a little pop-up like this, or just a spotlight, you know, that's the main call to action, or they're on your ways to donate page, you know, and they're looking at different ways that they can give. You want to always be linking them in to give from wherever they are. Okay, now, once they click that button, once they click that donate button, you got to close that deal. You got to close the sale with a great donation page. Everything that I've discussed before will all be for naught if you don't give the donor an easy and compelling giving experience. I'm going to drop a poll on the right because I have a question for you. Let's see what you think. On average, let's say you get somebody, you get a website visitor, and they click all the way to your donation form. On average, how many of those people will actually complete the process and submit the gift? What do you think? If you've been to one of my webinars before, you probably know the answer. So let's see what you guys are saying here. We've got a little bit of, we got a pessimistic crowd, no doubt. Most answers are between 1 to 10%. It's still leading the pack. Okay. All right. I'm going to reveal the answer here for you. Oh, well, I had that. Where'd that screen go? There we are. The answer is 21%. Only 21% of donors will complete a donation form once they're there. So, a few of you got that right. You need a donation process that will work hard to convert gifts for you. Working hard against this very typical abandonment. The keys to a great giving experience are very similar to the keys for a good website. You still need simplicity. You absolutely positively need security. You need your donation page to work on all devices. You needed to reinforce the reasons to give. There are about 12 traits of a good donation page that we've identified, you know, traits that help you convert more donations, you know, at this final stage of the process. We did a whole webinar on this. I'm going to share a link to that now. I want you to click that and bookmark that so you can watch it later. And it'll go through in very detailed, you know, step by step, what makes a great donation page and all the 12 traits of that. We're going to look at a couple of examples right now just to give you a sense of that. Let's go to Angel Flight, back to their site. This is an organization that they provide flights for free flights for those in medical need. So when I click their donate button here at the top of the page, we're going to go to their donation page. And the first thing that you probably notice is this is a completely isolated page. A huge mistake that so many nonprofits make is embedding a donation form on a regular page on their site, maybe somewhere lost in their support us section of their site or something like that. What that does is that leaves distracting links that take the donor away from completing their gift. Think of when you shop on Amazon and you click to checkout. All the product links and other distractions go away to keep you focused on completing your order. You need to do this, take the same approach with your donation page. So pull them into an isolated landing page like this, a page that is completely branded with the Angel Flight logo, their images that demonstrate the work that they're doing, the impact that they're making. Again, we're trying to continue forward with answers to those 4 questions into the donation process. You see that the page reinforces their mission of saving lives with these flights. This content, this kind of point of sale content, it helps to convert gifts. So don't just send your potential donor into some generic payment form, some generic payment method where it loses your message. This content, these images, this message, it's there to ask donors to keep going, to complete the gift. And since it's in an isolated process that is secure, that is mobile friendly, I can make this page as large or small as I want to, they're going to be convinced to complete the form. Another example is a nonprofit that I give to every year, the Wildlife Conservation Society. If I go back to their site, I just click donate now, brings me into their donation page, which again is an isolated process. It has great branding, it's secure, and gives me a simple, easy, one-step giving form. Works on all devices as well. No impediments here to me making a gift. So, bottom line, make that giving process as easy as possible. Keep it to itself so you keep the donor focused on their checkout, their gift to your organization. One little bonus tip that I have for you, or maybe a big bonus tip. You know, everything that I've been discussing so far is all about moving someone who is browsing your website, kind of moving them into becoming a donor. But if you are actively doing a fundraising campaign, you are actively sending out an email solicitation, you are actively sending out a direct mail solicitation, I do not want you to link that potential donor to your website homepage. Go ahead and send them directly to your donation page, to a page just like what I just showed. That way, they are going to bypass having to, you don't have to answer the question, how do I give? You're putting them right into the giving process. And if you're using a page like I showed before, where you're reinforcing the message and answering all the questions on that one page, then they're going to follow through with the message that you've sent in that email and that direct mail piece, and they're going to give. They're going to make a donation right then and there. You'll find that you'll raise more money by doing that than sending every single person to your website homepage and asking them to understand how to give, and to get kind of bogged in your website again to answer all those questions again. Just a little bonus tip there for you. So I'm going backwards there. Seem to be going backwards. Probably because I went backwards, that's why. Okay, so you're going to need to put these tips into practice. So I have 2 homework items for you today. 1, I want you to perform a content audit. That means looking at our 4 questions and seeing how well your website is answering them. This audit can tell you what content you are missing, and you can start to take steps to perfect your message. You'll also want to know if your improvements are making a difference. So my second homework assignment is to look at your analytics and benchmark where you are now. If you don't have a tool like Google Analytics connected to your website, please ask your webmaster to add it for you. If you don't, it's not that hard to add. It's a little piece of code that goes into your site, and then you'll get reports in an analytics tool like Google. Once you do that, you'll be able to start tracking simple statistics like the number of unique visits to your site versus the number of completed donations. Just track something simple like that, a simple ratio. And understand, as you look to improve your site, no website is perfect. All the examples that I showed today, I could find a lot of things that are wrong with those sites, and little things that need to do here and there, and that's fine. No website is perfect. Keep working on small improvements. Try to find one or two things that you can add to your website that we've discussed today. If you do that, then you'll start to convert more visitors into donors. All right, I appreciate you sticking around to this point. I'm going to drop a couple of handouts for you. Look for those on the right. These are checklists for your website and for your donation page. Just some few things that you can kind of look over and use as a guide. Do you have these items in your website? Are you doing these things on your donation page? Feel free to download those and use those as little takeaways from what we're talking about today. While you're doing that, I want to hear any questions that you have. So put any question that you have in the chat. I'm going to look back in the chat here and see what I've missed. Let's see what we have here. Robert, you had had the question, how about tying dollar value to what it provides to those in needs? Absolutely. That's exactly what I was talking about with the Humane Society example. How when they're talking about how how the gift helps, that they had there. Let's keep going. Question from Patrick: Is that first-time visitor or multiple visits to the page? Patrick, I think you're talking about the statistics that I'm talking about tracking. This kind of simple statistic that I was talking about is unique visits. So, and that you'd kind of look at that maybe over a month's time. Unique visits, something like Google Analytics can tell if someone's been there before. So they would count if someone comes in the beginning of the month and then comes later in the month, that would be a unique visit for that month. So almost you're kind of looking at maybe unique visitors through that month, and seeing whether you're converting that particular person to a donor. That's a good stat to track. It's really, your website, it works hard every time that they visit, or it should work hard every time that they visit. And you don't always get a donor the first time. I think, what's the rule of 7? That you have to see something, 7 or more times before you'll actually register with you and want to take any action on it. So, you want to encourage people to come back. So I will mention, some of the things that you might want to do, and anti-slavery is a good example of this. If you can't get somebody to donate, other things that you can get them to do is to, take other types of action. The main thing that you want them to do, in addition to donating, or maybe they'll do this before they donate, is sign up for your emails, sign up for your newsletter. Sometimes I talk about the website as kind of a progression. First thing you got to do is get them to visit. The next thing you might get them to do is sign up for your email newsletter, and then you're sending out information. And you're drawing them back into your blog, where you're giving fresh information, like the Chattahoochee Riverkeeper. and you're getting them to read about that. And they're starting to really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then they might tab over to seeing your programs and understanding the impact that those are having. It's all a progression. And when you get them to come back that last time, they see something that convinces them to give, and they click to donate, and you got that great donation process that converts them. It's exactly what you want them to do. Not seeing any other questions. We're almost at the top of the hour as well. I want to say just thank you so much for attending this webinar. If you missed anything, I will be sending out a replay of this webinar in the next few days. If you're watching this later as an on-demand recording, this is my contact information. You can reach out to me with any questions that you have or to request any resource. Once I close this webinar, you will be redirected to a survey. Please let me know how I did today. I hope that you found this useful. Thanks again for attending, and thanks for what you're doing for your community. I'll see you next month at our next webinar. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope we do see you next month.